Ladies and gentlemen, the World Rapid Chess Championships concluded today, and surprise, surprise, we had two things which are seemingly in every single bit of chess content nowadays. A little bit of drama, and Magnus Carlsen winning yet another event, his 16th World Chess Championship, but the road there was absolutely nuts, with a lot of upsets, a lot of crazy victories, crazy emotions. And before we jump into today's recap, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Woku. Folks, how many times have you done this? We love chess, but it can be frustrating. You know where you can't blunder your queen? In Woku. Woku is a block puzzle game, played and loved by millions. It's basically a mix of Sudoku and Tetris. You need to clear rows and columns by sliding in these nifty little blocks. And the sound effects are super nice too. Just like in chess, you've got to think ahead for which pieces you might be given, or you're gonna run out of space and end up looking like me. Ah, 297. Woku is a nice Zen-like mental workout, which you can enjoy in daily challenge, classical, or journey mode. And here's a couple of crazy fun facts about Woku that I never knew before. First of all, it's played in 185 countries around the world. That's like pretty close to chess. It also has been downloaded 250 million times globally. That's also probably similar to chess. In fact, 15% of the United States alone has downloaded Woku. Now, frankly, I think chess should be at like 100%, but you know, with your help, we'll get there. And Woku is 100% free to play. Folks, you know how this works. To play Woku right now, all you gotta do is click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. Thanks, sponsored Gotham, my friends. Here we go. The final recap of the World Rapid. I will cover both events, the Open, the Women's. The Women's had a wild finish. So did the Open. And it all starts and really features, it starts with Magnus Carlsen and features three prominent names. Vladimir Fedoseev, formerly from Russia, now representing Slovenia, and Vidit Gujarati of India. This all begins with the game Fedoseev versus Magnus Carlsen. Magnus going for a Nimso. And credit to Fedoseev for actually allowing an IMSO, right, rather than just playing knight f3 and stopping bishop to b4 stuff. Now, Fedoseev plays it like this. This is a bit of a sideline. Magnus takes, damaging the structure and compromising white's ability to put a pawn in the center. And then he plays d6. He plays rock solidly. Bit of a sideline here. Queen e7, not developing his pieces, not castling. And then takes the dark squares with this move c5, right? He gave up his dark squared bishop, so he replaces that real estate with the pawns like this. Fedoseev has a major decision to make. Is he going to advance in the center, or what is he going to do? If you take, what you give yourself is really ugly pawn structure. Doubled C pawns, not impressing anybody. So instead, he takes a little bit of center, and then he takes a little bit more space. Magnus continues to replace pawns on dark squares. He's very close to fulfilling the destiny of having no dark squared bishop, but a rock-solid formation. And as you can see, now he's able to start walking his king. That's a very provocative move. Naturally, you would think he wants to castle, and castling does look pretty natural, but maybe there's a world in which Fedoseev actually starts some sort of attack over here while Magnus castles there. The computer is not impressed, but clearly Magnus moving his king is not an IRL mouse slip, right? So knight back to d2, Magnus walks his king to c7. He's kind of provoking Fedoseev to advance over here, which Fedoseev is a little bit hesitant to do, and Magnus is still playing very cagey chess. The thing is, for Magnus to win the title, he's got to provoke his opponents a little bit. It's very difficult to win with black. Like, if white does nothing, if white just goes bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, like back and forth, especially in a position like this where the position is very locked, and not just locked, white has a lot more space, like black is gonna have to take the fight to white, which is not easy. So you kind of give the opponent a little bit, like you're waving the red flag in front of the charging bull, and I mean, Fedoseev has 6 pawns advanced in the center like this, right? So at some point he's gonna come forward. Magnus shuts down the queen side, so now Fedoseev can't do anything over there. It would be nice for Vladimir to do this, knight d2, knight b1, like that is possible, but maybe there's nothing lethal about it. For example, if the knight goes to d2, maybe there is b6, maybe knight b1, bishop a6, knight a3, I don't know, we go here, and then this actually has no potency anymore because the last thing that you want to do is block your own position, right? So I don't know what the idea there was, but Fedoseev does this, and now Magnus doesn't lock the position at all. He takes. He wants to create something. He wants to create a little bit of something. It's still a very, very cagey position. The queen goes to b3. Now Magnus rotates the knight this way. Is he preparing f5? No way. He's not in the position to call the shots. He's moved his king a bunch. He has like no development whatsoever. Fedoseev also moves his king. And there comes f5. This man Magnus is playing for a win. Magnus is like, he's like a wrestler. He's like a brawler. But if you get him on his back, right? Being on your back like this, generally not a really good, and the guy is pounding in your face. But, pause. But seriously, when he's on his back, he can still submit you. He'll get you in a triangle choke. I don't know what this is. He'll get you in a triangle choke, right? He'll get an arm. He'll rotate the position. Like you think, oh, all of Magnus's pieces are sort of stuck back here. No, he finds the only pawn break in the position. Now White has to deal with the imbalances, right? Fedoseev still putting pressure on that beat, but Magnus is just defending. He's just defending. And what's going to happen now is Fedoseev is going to start spending time, but he's not. He's not. Fedoseev, if anything, is a guy that is very good on playing on instinct, but he's going backwards, right? He can't do much anymore. Most people here would just sit with White and go, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't make any more progress. Well, that's fully accurate. And Fedoseev now starts trying to fight on the G file. Magnus says, no, I open the G file. The G file is mine. The queen goes to h7 to seize the diagonal, and now it's a waiting game. There might not be a chance yet for black to break through. The position is about equal, but we're going to wait. It's going to be a waiting game. Queen G. All right, now here comes the rook. All right, here comes the rook. Fedoseev trying to use his final pawn, f4. Magnus shuts the door, knowing that that pawn is going to be a menace in the endgame. Queen d7, and now he's prying apart the defenses of the white position. Uh-oh. Who's going to defend that pawn? I got news for you. That pawn was nice when it was an attacking mechanism, but now black is completely guarding the position. Both players are now at around 2 minutes. Rook h3. Fedoseev is just restricted. Look at his pieces getting absolutely flattened in their ranks. Bishop c1, queen b6. Excuse me, I said queen b6. Ha! Queen g3. b6 would have been on the other side. Bishop c4. Magnus sacrifices material and just gets the bishop back, and the king is in dire straits. One of the most incredible things about this game is that this king crossed the center line. The king crossed the center line and got mated. Magnus beat Fedoseev. Which one of White's other pieces crossed the center? Seriously, let's take a look at this. Seriously. So, d5, I'm talking about pieces. Look at pieces, not pawns. Not pawns. g4, those are all pawns. Those are pawns. Those are all pawns. Not a single... No way. This is crazy. Not a single... This can't be happening. Not a single... Not one of White's pieces. Not one of White's pieces crossed the center. How insane is that? Have you ever seen something like this? Magnus Carlsen restricted his opponent's knights, bishops, queen, and rooks to this side of the board. He never crossed the center line. It's like a boxer too scared to punch. It's crazy. The only king that crossed the center was the only piece was the king. The king was the only one courageous enough, and he was courageously stupid because he got mated. He got mated on the other side of the board, and that is the way. And apparently Magnus was taken for a random fair play check after this game. I saw that video on Chess Base India. Everybody gets scanned. It's like, you know, when athletes get drug tested after good performances, they took Magnus for a fair play scan because they were like, no way. No way you just did that to one of the best rapid players in the world. Now, while this game was going on, we had other games. All right? We had other games going on. My man, Vidit Gujarati, yesterday suffering a tough defeat against Magnus, but he has been absolutely ridiculous this year. First of all, he's opposite side castling, and this man is actually adapting his playing style a little bit. Vidit's gotten a lot more aggressive, which is actually, he's the reverse. As a person, he's gotten like much more zen. He's doing a lot of meditating. He's always like posting about his meditations and stuff. I should really try meditation. But he's actually gotten quite aggressive. And as you can see here, he's got bad intentions for Korobov. Now, let me tell you, Anton Korobov from Ukraine, one of the most creative players, very, very strong, perennial 2700. His rapid is 2600 because rapid ratings aren't real. But, you know, rook e8, knight b3. And I mean, as you can see, he's got very bad intentions for one of the most creative players in the world. If one guy has an attack here on the other, it is clearly Vidit attacking Korobov and Korobov trying to defend himself. Now, of course, the computer says it's equal because the computer is a piece of garbage and kills all imagination and tells children that, I was going to say certain things aren't real, but you know what? If I have like 5-year-olds watching this who They're real. Everything's real. It's all real. It's all real. Until a certain age, at which point you will be institutionalized. Rook e7, rook b3. Look at this attack. He has 22 pieces of material bulldozing down his opponent's side of the board, and it's not even about taking the pawns. It's about restricting pawn's control. Knight a6 is a massive threat, so the king goes to a8. Now, rook a3 is made. He's not going to blunder it. g3, waiting move. And at some point, maybe Vidit is going to maneuver. Oh, Korobov's not having it. He's trying to create counterplay. Now Vidit goes around the other way. Knight e4, still looking for mate, still poking, still there's nothing here. There's nothing here. The only way something's going to happen is if somebody blunders something. Rook c8. Oh, that's an annoying move. Look at queen b6. Wow. That is annoying. Now, it's still equal. If black just does nothing, black can play f5. Maybe, obviously white wants to do all of it. And then here Korobov plays a6. He loses the game on the spot. Korobov thought a6 prevents b5. He's not wrong. And now he's going to try to play queen a7. But he forgot about the sacrifice of the rook. Rook a6. It's the most obvious move too. Like you would think it's the most obvious. a6, rook a6. And the idea is that black is stuck. He's going to lose his rook, and then he's going to lose all his pawns. Literally, he's going to lose all his pawns. I mean, you can probably just trade as well and win this endgame, but oh my god, a present. Vidit's aggression pays off, and he beats Korobov. Vidit is now in the hunt. He is in the hunt for the gold medal as well. At the very least, the silver medal. Crazy stuff is going on. Now, the next round featured and by the way, everybody's making draws. Like every other player in the event except these guys is like making a draw. They're all chasing, but then you got Magnus, who comes back from the random drug test, and he's playing Iranian Grandmaster Idani, who I think is a young guy, maybe in his 20s, unless I'm completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is. Bishop c4. Magnus has been playing this beginner's Sicilian. Like, we tell beginners not to play, you guys have all done this. You've all done this, a lot of you. You learn an opening, right? You learn the Vienna, and then you go, this is the Vienna, and I'm gonna play the Vienna against everything. I teach you how to hammer a nail, so you try to hammer everything, okay? Screws, bolts, like everything. Then you say, well, this is the Vienna. No. So you learn the Italian, and you think, oh, I'm playing the Italian. What? This is the Italian, right? E4, boom, boom, boom. No, Italian is against e5, but it turns out it basically turns out in 2023, you can do whatever you want at any point in chess, and it's fine. Worst comes to worst, it's equal, and it doesn't really matter because equality is good. It's a good thing in society and economics, not like rampant, not communism, historically, but but this is not a socioeconomic channel. This is a, anyway, castles, c3, knight c6, d5. So what you get when you play chess like this is a game. You get a game. The computer's like, equal, doesn't matter. The meta in chess used to be you try to get an advantage. The meta now is you just get a position where you are probably going to be more comfortable than your opponent. And let me tell you right now, you take any chess player on the planet Earth, sometimes you can even pair them together, and they can't beat Magnus Carlsen, all right? b6, knight bd2, knight to b3, bishop b7, bishop g5. That just gave me a really good idea for a series. What if I did like Magnus and a tag team of grandmasters? You think Magnus could beat 2 of the top 10 players in the world at the same time? Do you think they would be willing to do that? Is that like a huge ego thing? Like what if I took 2 top 10 players and they were on a team and they were playing Magnus? I think that would be fascinating. You could beat them at the same time. Knight e7, queen e2. I don't think they would do it. I think it would be too much of an ego hit. Knight f4. Big maneuvering game. Knight e5, Magnus seizing control, still applying a lot of pressure here. Knight d7 is an idea, but black is fine. Black is fine. Magnus trades the queens. Trades the queens. We're going to this is a very early stage endgame. It's still, I would call this a queenless middle game. But Magnus's pieces look very nice, and he has what the kids call a Rizzler of a pawn majority over here. Bishop to d5. Nobody really knows what Rizzler means. Like, this is just the thing that children say. Bishop e5, rook e5, and still Magnus has a majority. So this is probably going to come in handy. All right, there it is. Rook e3, defending his majority. Maybe he's going to make a couple of trades. What the heck just happened? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, it turns out defending that pawn is really difficult, because if you play a move like rook b7, I play f3. Your knight moves, and I fork you. So instead of that, Puya runs in and grabs this, but Magnus is like, bro, I am the best endgame player of all time, and I am a pawn up, and I have 2 passed pawns. Do you think My man, okay, I'm only a pawn up now, but it's a really good pawn. Do you think I will not be able to beat you? I told you a long time ago that knight is super annoying, and Magnus does not rush, walks his king forward, doesn't even take... Yo, this is really, really high-level stuff. This is really high-level stuff. Magnus has a free pawn, 100% certified free pawn. But it's better for him to run the king to help the pawn. That is easy for Magnus to spot that this is the right way to play, to give up all of this and just go invest in the pawn. But that is brilliant for the average chess fan. B6, time is of the essence. You have to go defend yourself, king c6. And now there's no point trying to sneak in because I go b7. There's no point trying to sneak in because I block you. That's the point. And I queen would check. That is the idea here. So takes, king e7, and that's it. The pawn made it because the king was too fast. And Magnus Carlsen seals the door, seals the deal. And the most important thing here is there is a universe in which, you know, if you don't know how to win a rook versus king and pawn endgame, you draw it. Because the king runs up and you make a mistake. Not here. King is just way too close. Magnus keeps winning. Now, this is the game to determine who is going to play Magnus, who's going to contend versus Magnus for the gold medal. The winner of this game will probably get gold or silver. Again, we kind of ruined it, but it is what it is. d4, d5. Vidit versus Fedoseev, the matchup we've been dreaming of. It starts with a semi-Slav, starts with just a regular main line, takes, bishop d6, critical line, black striking back in the center. Black actually never played the move b5, which is very, very provocative. So instead we have a massive exchange, queen d8, Vidit grabs a pawn, Fedoseev grabs it back, but Vidit enjoys an advantage because of black's awkward king, because of the two bishops. The bishops love space. Now you cannot take this pawn. You take this pawn, I'm gonna play bishop g5, I'm gonna force your king out here, and black is just too slow. Black is gonna get probably mated. But rook e1, bishop back, and now he takes it, bishop b2, and we take on g7. This is the position that we have to work with. Vidit has the bishop pair, and he has 3-on-1. Traditional logic tells you that Vidit is much better. And the computer does agree. The computer thinks that Vidit definitely enjoys a very pleasant advantage. All signs are pointing to Vidit grinding down his opponent in this game. Black plays a5, Vidit says no. Fedoseev plays bishop g8, Vidit brings his king, just like Magnus. Brings his king, you can't take because of this. So how is Fedoseev going to defend this position? Both guys have 5 minutes, tens of thousands of dollars are on the line, an international gold medal is on the line. What now? Rook to e7, we bring the bishop back. Very nice idea to put some pressure on this pawn. Fedoseev defends it, now we attack that pawn. So much is at stake right now. Every piece is interacting with every other piece. The rook goes to b8. Now Vidit says, what's a better time to push my pawn majority than right now? So does Fedoseev. Here's the problem. You can't take with the pawn. You cannot take with the pawn because you relinquish defense of the knight and the rook and the bishop. You would lose. So he has to take with the rook. Now his pawns are split. Now bishop a4, Fedoseev goes for this and tries to get creative, but his advantage is ballooning. The advantage is ballooning for Vidit, who now has a 1-minute time advantage. Where is this knight gonna go? I got news for you. Nowhere. It can't move because discover check, rook c4, bishop b1, the game is over. Knight back to e7, Vidit, bishop b6, has a completely winning position. If he wins this game, he is tied with Magnus for the gold medal spot. He lost to Magnus, but if they tie for first, they will play a playoff. They will play a blitz playoff to determine the champion of the Open Rapid Championship. This is unbelievable stuff. Vidit is getting it done. He is a pawn up now. Apparently not even the best move. Apparently bishop d3 and bishop a6 is even more ridiculous because he just wins. Like, it's just mate. The rook goes there. So bishop d3 was a little bit better, but he grabs a pawn. Who can blame him? Rook to a4. Now rook d8. He plays it. He can play rook d... Okay, he can play rook d7. Bishop c3 also not so bad. But now Fedoseev starts consolidating. His king crawls back into the ditch, grabs the horse, says, I got you. The bishop goes to a2. Fedoseev, this is a sniper of a move. And now Vidit also low on time. Knight to g6. Insane game. Vidit a pawn up. E5, he advances. The king goes to mess with the rook again. Where's the rook gonna go? It goes back. The bishop goes to D5. The bishop goes to F5. The knight jumps out to H4. Oh my god, the stress. 20 seconds on the clock. Fedoseev using his final pawn to pry the defenses away from the bishop. E6, Vidit making a break for it. Bishop E5 is checkmate, by the way. It's straight up gonna lead to a checkmate somehow. But rook A3 pinning the bishop. Oh my goodness. The king gets out of the way. Here comes the knight. The king has to guard the bishop. Pawn takes G4. And Vidit sneaks the pawn forward. The only defensive move now is bishop F7. This pawn is hanging, and the knight is hanging after that. So Vidit takes. But it's a losing mistake. It took Vidit 47 moves to make one major error. And now there's a check. And in the most cruel way possible, the white position falls apart. The king can now no longer defend the bishop, and when the bishop falls, the knight is protected, and the promotion is still stopped. Vidit Gujrathi, all of a sudden, is completely losing. Rook G3, he's trying to push his pawn, but there's nothing he can do, and apparently we still get back to an equal position. We still get back to an equal position. King G3, it was so many plot twists. King G3, Rook H1, it's now back to maybe equal. King H4, Vidit makes a run for it. But that's it. That's it. His king has been sniped. Rook G4, he tries to defend himself. But Knight F5, the second piece is lost. The pawns are stopped. And Vidit Gujrathi sat there with his head in his hands. And that's chess. That's chess for anybody not named Magnus Carlsen. It has been a decade of fighting for the gold and silver. Maybe, I'm sorry, the bronze and the silver. But if Vidit had won this game, he would have been tied with Magnus going into the final game. But instead it is Fedoseev who is half a point behind. We will take a look at those two matchups because there was absolutely insane stuff going on in the women's section. So, this is the drama of the day. The last round begins in the Women's Rapid Championship. Lei Tingjie from China and Anastasia Bodnaruk from Russia are tied for first. This is the full game. Lei Tingjie offers her opponent a draw on the third move, which, by the way, shouldn't be allowed. Like, at least move 20, right? And even then, she offers a draw, and they tie for first. They tie for first. One person can catch them. That is Indian Grandmaster and legend Humpy Konaru. She can catch them in a three-way tie for first. She does catch them in a three-way tie for first, which means the three of them get gold, silver, and bronze, but they have to play for it. Except that is not true. What? Well, here are the rules. In the open section, if there is a tie for first, a playoff shall determine the champion. If more than two players are tied, look at B1, a knockout tournament will be played. But on the women's section, for whatever reason, the playoffs say the top two players by tie breaks. What? Why do they have different rules? Now, of course, it's the players' responsibility. I'm not saying it, but the players should know that. And they probably shouldn't make draws in three moves, but why are the rules different? Because this happened a couple of years ago in the open section when some of the men tied and then they couldn't play for a playoff because only the top two. So they changed the rule, but they kept it in the women's. Now, who knows? I don't know. Was this agreed upon? Did all the top women in the world say yes to this? I don't know. Does FIDE talk to the top players to determine the rules? I don't know. But Lei Tingjie does not get to play in the playoff despite tying for first. The playoff is Humpy Konaru versus Anastasia Bodnaruk. I think Lei Tingjie will be kicking herself for this decision. I don't know. I don't know for how long. I haven't spoken to her. Maybe she won't. Maybe she doesn't care. But she gets bronze, and this is the gold medal match because they were top two on tie breaks. Some of you might be wondering, how is that even determined? It's a couple of different things. It's like the sum of your opponent's scores, which means you played really good players, the average rating of your opponents, which means you played really good play. Like, there's a couple of things. This is their fourth tie-break game because the first two, they traded blows. They each won. This is their last tiebreak game, and it was absolutely ridiculous. It started with a Neo-ready, that's what it was. It was like a ready system. White came back from a trade of queens. It's, by the way, they play blitz to determine the champion of rapid. Because there's no other way to do it. I mean, they can't, like, they don't have all day. They can't play more, I don't know. Breaking ties in chess is not easy. It really isn't, all right? They got to do it some way. They might as well do blitz. So the game is a very balanced game. It's completely symmetrical until the 20th move. When black gets her knight trapped on the edge of the board, the rook is hanging, the getaway square is stopped, rook c5 only move, the knight is trapped. The only way not to have the knight trapped is to move the bishop to target the knight. There's also b5, I guess, which targets the bishop. Danger levels. You danger level the knight, and then you move the knight to f4. But what you don't do is this. You said danger levels, but now you have two hanging pieces. Humpy Conneru is completely winning. She grabs a knight. Now, it's not like hopeless because black is going to get a couple of pawns here. But f4 takes, king f2. I mean, it looks like white should be completely winning, but it's actually a little bit tricky. It is surprisingly tricky because of how powerful the bishop is and how powerful the rook is targeting the king. And all of a sudden, within a span of a few moves, black has a couple of pawns and it's anything but clear. And Humpy has 7 seconds. She plays king e2. She's trying to trade the rooks, but black is staying active. Black is zipping in. White is up material, but it's very difficult to prove. Rook d3 trying to trade. Rook d2, rook c1, a5. Okay, she's making progress. Now her king's going for a run. Rook h3, the king is going for a run. The evaluation is building. Rook e1, king c5, rook c1. And now Humpy had to go here. She had to go there. Pause and do the damage with her knight. Instead, she runs in with her king and loses her pawn. Disaster. The bishop is pinned. She can't take on b7. So what is she going to do? She goes rook d4. She gets pinned and she loses on time. She had 2-second bonus, but she froze up here. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't take. She didn't really want to do this because if you take, you're under severe pressure. So bishop d5 and she froze with 4 seconds on the clock, and she didn't make her move in time, and she is the silver medalist, and Anastasia Bodnaruk is the first international master to ever win the Women's World Rapid Championship. She might be the first IM to win any rapid period, by the way, which is crazy. Open or women's. And Lei Xingjie gets bronze after a 3-move draw. That is so wild. Why are the rules different? Why are the rules different? Can somebody explain that to me? Nobody is able to explain that to me. I don't get it. Why do they have different rules? Anyway, here we go. If Vladimir Fedoseev defeats Dmitry Andreikin, he might time Magnus Carlsen. If Magnus Carlsen wins against Pragnananda, he wins. There is no debate. Well, I got news for you. It was a short round. It was a short round. I think, again, if Fedoseev plays for a win, he might lose. So what does he do? It's a queen's gambit accepted. And on the 9th move of the game, he offers a draw. That's what he does. So Fedoseev gets 9.5 points. A bunch of players have 8.5. They could try to catch. Fedoseev says, you know what, I'm good with a draw, which is, I don't know why they do this, but maybe they're smarter than me, which means nobody can catch Magnus. So around this point, Magnus plays the 4 knights against Prague. Under traditional circumstances, this is a game that like Prague would be playing for a win, but there's no point in getting aggressive because Magnus doesn't even want to play for a win, and this is the position after 10 moves. Magnus looks over at the other game and goes, oh, they made a draw, so I just have to not lose. And that's what he does. He plays in a way where he just doesn't lose. He trades pieces, and this is the position after 23 moves. Bishop c7 is a dead draw. Slightly uneventful conclusion, but that's what happens when you absolutely murder the opposition for the first 12 rounds. Magnus Carlsen just won his 16th World Championship. 5 in Classical, 5 in Rapid, and he has 6 in Blitz, and he's going to try to win a 7th. This one particularly impressive. Magnus has now won the World Rapid Championship 3 out of the last 4 years. He got bronze in 2021 because I think of that rule. Because it used to be the top 2. And they changed it, and and they just never changed it for the, I don't know. I don't know how they do anything. I don't know how they make any of their decisions. What I do know is Magnus won, and he didn't just win. Magnus had no bad positions in 13 rounds. And if that forecasts anything for the World Blitz Championship, which begins tomorrow, I think his opposition is pretty fudged. Fudged. They're fudged, is as the kids say. That's all I have for you today. Congratulations to all of the medalists. Congratulations to Magnus Carlsen, Vladimir Fedoseev, and Yu Yangyi. Now, you may wonder why I haven't covered Yu Yangyi's games. He drew all 4 games on the last day. There was a lot of draws. But Yu Yangyi... Oh, let me actually show you real quick. The standings for the Open were crazy. Look how many people tied for 3rd. Yu Yangyi, Vidit, Volodar Murzian, a young man from Russia. Very good. Defeated Nepo, he defeated Levon Aronian, Maxim, Dubov, Prague, Dmitry Andreyk, and Nodjerbek. It was like a 12-way tie for 3rd, but Yu Yangyi emerged with the best tiebreaks. So congratulations to him. And on the women's side, obviously, it was Bodnaruk, Anastasia Bodnaruk winning the gold medal, Humpy Konaru, a heartbreaking defeat for silver. And Lei Xingxie gets bronze. But, I mean, if she must be kicking herself. I can't even imagine. World Blitz starts tomorrow. That's all I have for you today, I think. Get out of here.